Can't really remember exactly how I felt, except exceptionally happy following the politicians and some of the statements that were made openly. And we know that we wanted to get away from the colonizers, and they all spoke about us that if we behave ourselves, everything will be all right. We will get to do much more things instead of running to England every time. I mean, running to England is nothing wrong with that, but as it turned out, it's much better going there as a Trinidadian, as a Caribbean citizen, more than anything else. There was no other country that had attained independence around that time that we could have patterned ourselves by. So all we could go is by what we were told by the government. Dr. Eric Williams, CLR James, and some of the other people, real intellectuals, and they guided us. I gave them a nice song on independence. Interdependence, a lot of humor. The whole population of our little nation is not a lot. But oh, what a mixture of races and culture. That's what we got. Still no major indifference of race, color, religion, or finance. It's amazing to you, I'm sure. We didn't get independence before, which means
Trinidad and Tobago will always live on. Colonialism fall. Our nation is for everybody. We go follow our leaders. They always do their best. What else we want to achieve? We want to aspire. We want to be a success.
Dr. Eric Williams, oh man, we wanted to federate. He wanted a federation, and it didn't happen because of one or two little things that some people wasn't even thinking about. But like, when that happened, we got a little sad, seeing that we were all told and we all wanted the whole Caribbean to lock arm in arm, you know, like a team, footballers or basketballers or wherever. And it just didn't happen because of one simple incident. But then again, I love the mathematics he used. 1 from 10. Zip. And now everybody is finally coming together in a much more meaningful way. But that also tells you what the colonizers had done and sort of prevented certain people from thinking a certain way, even when it was in their very best interest. What can I say? We got it now. And we want to make sure that it stays like this and grow into something more meaningful. And I'll be happy.
Being in politics from 1952, when I first contested the county council election, I was always involved in the process of government. That is to say, what stage we were, what stage we should go to, and what is the ideal stage of development for Trinidad and Tobago. So from the early days, people were always saying, like in the county council, we had, in the early days, only advisory powers. The county council couldn't take decisions to fix a road. We used to advise the minister. So we ourselves put forward proposals to get a modern county council ordinance, which the government accepted on the recommendation of Sir John Imrie, an English expert who came down here. When I got into the government in 1956, we were a colonial territory. The government could not deal with foreign affairs, nor could it deal with civil aviation and a lot of things that had to do with foreign countries. We could not do that. We could have only made recommendations. But in 1956, when Dr. Williams came in and the PNM first won the election, he was able to move towards independence without having to shed a drop of blood and without much difficulty, because even the opposition supported the move for further constitutional development. The opposition, I must say, in those days, they were very cooperative. And they too wanted to get independence, and they too wanted to become a Republican government. So in that respect, Dr. Williams and his team, which included myself, we had Dr. Winston Mahabir, you must have heard about him. We had Gerard Montano. You heard about John Donaldson, the President Donaldson's father. You heard about all the old stalwarts like Robert Wallace. So there was encouragement from all sections in the attainment of independence for Trinidad and Tobago. All the issues that would normally come up for the development of a country. That is to say, since we were independent, we had to take what we want. Now, money was not as available as now. In those days, oil was $9 and $10 a barrel, and the money was not sufficient to do all the things we wanted to do. And so we tried our best within the limitations of the budget to bring about developments, giving more powers to local government, giving them more money, and we ourselves of trying to have a good health service, to have a good water supply, to have a good education system. A lot was achieved in that. That was the ambition of the people, and Dr. Williams and subsequently Mr. Chambers proceeded to give to the people what they wanted. I think that shortly after independence, once the new program was assembled, Dr. Williams proceeded with speed to get the implementation of those goals that he wanted to achieve, and they were achieved. And most of it were what the public wanted to. So I think we did very well, very well. We had good people. They all put their heads together, Fitzbell, Doddridge Allen, Reginald Dumas, all of them. We had some really educated and good people in Trinidad and Tobago, and they made significant contributions towards the development of the country. Now you have new people, and they are trying their best, and to bring about further development. We need, because the water supply need improving, the education system need improving, the health facilities need improvement, and in most areas we could do with more. The more you get is the more you want, but we can do with more development.
I felt happy and great to know that we will be stepping out from under the sovereignty of the Queen of England.
Today,
Part of the sovereignty of the Queen of England, and we could be able to manage our own affairs. And I remember in those years, even now, Trinidad and Tobago, a very, very rich island. We had copper, sugar, pitch, gas, oil. So I felt very good to know that Dr. Williams is doing something good for me, for my country, and for my people. That we could be able to keep our resources and to elevate and educate our people much more better and very high with the knowledge of separation from England. I started when I was 15 years of age. And years came after where the Calypso, where independence came in. I had more freedom. When I say more freedom, I could belt them. I could belt more tune and beat them man more better. Where the name of Calypso King will be changed, and it did change in 1972 to Calypso Monarch. So I felt great, and I'm still feeling happy and great right now because being the first woman of Calypso to ever acquire such title. Now, if we were still under the colonial rule before independence, I might have been called the Calypso King Rose. Yeah, it was a great move and a very great move and a very good thing for the country, especially the motto. And the greatest line that I had loved, I do love in our anthem, let every creed and race find an equal place. Because Trinidad is a, how could I call, they're Chinese, they're Indians, they're Negroes, they're Portuguese, they were French. So every creed and race, every race right now in Trinidad and Tobago has an equal place. And I know God has blessed us, and God will continue to bless this nation. The mighty Sparrow and Dr. Eric Williams. I remember when Dr. Eric Williams went into the square in Porto, Spain, and gave that wonderful speech. I remember that glorious day. Dr. Williams has opened the eyes of the nation. Not only the nation, but the world. To me, he was the godfather of the Caribbean and the father of Trinidad and Tobago. So God bless again our nation.
Everyone was quite excited. Those around me was quite excited, and I, as a young person, was very much interested. And there was a saying, people going around saying, some people, Massa, they done. So I look forward that we would be self-governed. And as we go along, they spoke about having our own anthem, our own flag. Several people took part in writing the anthem. It was a competition. And finally, Mr. Pat Castani, his composition was chosen. I was still young at the time, so I just looked forward to something very interesting and important, because as far as history tells us, Great Britain just sucked everything from us. And as Dr. Williams said, all he got was a shake hand, and nobody dropped a coin in his hand. You just left on our own, and here we are today. There was the raising of the flag at midnight, the night before. That was the whole thing, the raising of the flag. Princess Alice, which was the Queen's aunt, came down to represent the Queen, and I remember seeing the regiment. I think it was the first time they came out. We all gathered in Woodford Square, opposite on the side on Abercrombie Street, facing the Red House, and the streets were all decorated, the whole city. It was great, and a lot of excitement. And people gathered there from early to get a proper view. But when it was almost time for the ceremony to start, it was a rush. I thought I was going to die. The excitement, people pushing to get to the front, but it was nice. It was good. And the next day, which was the official day, the 31st, it was a holiday, of course. People were invited, top officials from other countries came. This festival that they have every year, Best Village, and the different groups would take part. Very interesting. They would have the ballet dancers, the drumming, the works. things like Panorama. After we became independent, an independent nation, we became more interested in our culture. Several things happened which precipitated and accelerated the move to independence. It started thousands of miles away when during the war the Indians decided they wanted their independence from the British. And there were two aspects, Gandhi with the peace movement and Bose with the fight movement, that he would join the Japanese and they would take back their independence by force. After the war, the British decided they'll use another strategy with all their empire. They'll give the independence to their former colonies and find another way to remain friends and continue to get the benefit from their colonies. The vast majority of the people would have wanted independence. Like the Indians who may have had a bit of fear, and the whites who may have felt that their supremacy would be threatened. They may have had fear, but they were not sufficient in number to do anything about it. Eventually, I think everybody agreed that, especially the Indians, seeing that India had got their independence, that was an inspiration to them too. We will settle our differences here, but we want to be independent too. So that it was almost, or it could truly be said, it was a universal desire to cut the umbilical string which tied us to Britain, and that we would be not a part of Great Britain, but great on our own steam. Prior to independence being granted, there was a meeting of the dominant part, that is the government of Great Britain, the ruler of the empire, and we were a fragment now being given independence. And the meeting was held at Marlborough House in London, and there a delegation from Trinidad, the majority being of the government side, and 6 representatives of the opposition. And the meeting was held there, and they ironed out a constitution fit for Trinidad, which entrenched and specially entrenched provisions, which the specially entrenched provisions could only be changed with a 2/3 majority in Parliament. And they came back, and we were satisfied with the progress we were making, and we sailed on. All I will tell you, read the speech which Eric Williams gave when we got our independence.
The first responsibility that devolves upon you is the protection and promotion of your democracy. Democracy means more, much more, than the right to vote, and one vote for every man and every woman of the prescribed age. Democracy means recognition of the rights of others. Democracy means the equality of all in the eyes of the law. Democracy means equality of opportunity for all in education, in the public service, and in private employment. I repeat, and in private employment. Democracy means responsibility of the government to its citizens, the protection of the citizens from the exercise of arbitrary power.
It was marvelous.
Human freedom and
it was faultless. Have we lived up to it? I don't think so. But if we had followed the speech, and if Eric Williams himself had followed the same speech, we would be a king among nations, because God was particularly kind to us. He gave us oil, He gave us gas, He gave us a pitch lake, a wonder of the world. He gave us arable land. He gave us intelligent people, and how much of it has been depleted will never be recovered, and commensurate with that, we haven't made the progress that we should have made. Other countries have had to work hard. Right here in the West Indies, they are, in a sense, more independent. They grow their own food. We have destroyed our rice lands in this country. Now sugar was destroyed, and sugarcane could have been used as an alternative to petroleum fuel. We have cut down our forests. We have laid waste the country. And it will take hundreds of years for the land to be restored to the condition, its prime condition in which we found it. And we will have, because we have had the 7 fat years, the 7 lean years are coming upon us. And the prophet that should have given advice should have been Daniel the prophet, and not a prophetess.